What's going on, podcast listeners? My name is Michael Chernow. I am a restaurateur and lifestyle entrepreneur, and I am truly obsessed with living a life better than yesterday through wellness, fitness, and good vibes. I've always wondered if the drive to succeed is something we are born with, or if it's something that is made over time through grit, drive, and perseverance. I get to answer that question exactly, and the goal of this podcast is to talk with people that have absolutely crushed it in life and have inspired me to do the same. This is Born or Made. Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Born or Made podcast. Today I am lucky. I'm a lucky man. Today I get to sit down with a very old friend, a guy that's known me probably since 1999, I think. Maybe earlier, but definitely 1999 is when I met my homeboy Mike Diamond. Mike is an author. He is an entrepreneur. He is a Guinness Book of World Record holder. He is a recovery specialist and interventionist. He is truly out there saving people's lives on a regular basis. He's a legend, and I didn't even talk about his legacy in nightlife. The guy is a New York City nightlife legend. But I'm very excited to talk with him today because he has he's impacted me in many ways. We've been friends for a long time, and we have unbelievable conversations. And I thought if there's somebody to have on the podcast in a time like this, we're sitting right now in the sort of pit of this crazy time in the world. It'd be Mike Diamond is the guy to talk to. Mikey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, brother. That was a really good introduction. Like, what am I supposed to say after that? It talked me up so good. I was going to sit back and thank you.
I also forgot to mention that Michael is also a TV personality. Anyway, there's very little this guy doesn't do. I can remember when I was young. I was 18 or 19 years old. I was working in the nightclub scene in New York City. And Mike Diamond was one of those guys that you sort of just was the very, very nice guy, but also the guy that you just did not want to fuck with ever. Just sort of like known on the street to like take care of his people and be very, very kind and incredibly hospitable. But if you cross the rope on the wrong night, you might end up in a place you don't want to be. So, I looked up to Mike when I was young, and I still do. And you're a special dude, man. So I appreciate you hopping on with me.
Oh man, thank you. But it was really awesome. That was so crazy when you told the story about the rope extension thing, mm-hmm. And then all these all these people started commenting. But you know what's interesting? 14 years sober, I have not been in an physical altercation with another human being since in my sobriety. I mean, I've been in situations where I've had to restrain people, like when I was getting out of, because I went to Vegas and was working with all the big casinos, but I haven't been in any fights. I just walk away now. Where back then it was like every night was just a brawl at Snitch. It was so bad. And Pangea, oh my God. It was like a battleground. And you were at Life because I was at Chaos.
Yeah,
Chaos was so bad. It was just, we'd fight the Guidos in the park. Yeah, we fought the Guidos in the parking lot every Friday night. That's horrible.
Chaos on Watts?
No, on Houston. Because it was 19. We met at 1999, around there. 98, 99 was what we met. That's when I was at Life. But 2001. But then
I went to Chaos.
I remember. You were bartending.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What a change, man. We're changed men.
Times, dude. The Born or Made podcast is a podcast where I sit down with people that have inspired me. And I'm sure if I'm inspired, many, many, many others have been and are on a regular basis by people like you. And I asked the question whether you think you were born with an inherent ability to get to where you're at today, or if you believe you were made over time through grind, hustle, and grit. And I don't want to get to the answer now. I don't believe there is a right or wrong answer. However, I do want to get to know you, and I want the listeners to get to know you. And I'd love to hear your story from as early back as you can remember, because I know that you have an unbelievably crazy story, and I would love to get into it. And throughout the story, I will stop you and extrapolate a few things that I think could potentially help us get closer to this answer. It's really just a topic of nature nurture. I believe that it's one of the most interesting things to talk about, specifically with people that have sort of found success in any area. It doesn't have to be in business or, it just success in life. And I look to you as one of the, I don't think I've spoken to you any time in the last however many, 5-10 years where you haven't been incredibly happy, excited, and like full of life. And that to me is success, man. So why don't we get into your story?
So I was born in Perth, Western Australia, and Perth is geographically the most isolated capital city in the world. European parents, very, very white, like neighborhood. So I looked a little odd, and then, Greek, Italian, Middle Eastern, but we thought we were really Greek. Unfortunately, my dad wasn't a drinker, mom wasn't a drinker, but they were just really, really abusive physically, and mentally, because my older brother was sick at 7. He had measles encephalitis. And then my little sister came 13 weeks premature. So my dad, European, worked hard, slaved, but then I was so out there, undiagnosed dyslexic. I didn't know I had dyslexia. Super athlete as a kid, but didn't understand how to process information. And I was always in fight, flight, or freeze mode. No good role models, no good mentors. So at 12, my dad owned liquor stores and there was always liquor around. So I started drinking. And, it's that one thing. You start drinking young and you get that taste on your lips. And it's like in old school, it's so good when it touches your lips. I was like, this is it. I'm drinking. So my parents sent me to like a private school. It was a good school. But I got, started smoking early, started drinking early, started doing drugs early. And by 16, I got tossed out. Then there was that really defining moment because I went from a really good private school to the worst public school there was. And all the kids there wanted to kill me. They just hated me.
Why?
Just because I was the kid that went to private school and they thought I ratted all these kids out. Because I was caught in a really big drug conspiracy, but no one caught me. They just were like, it was that guy.
Let's talk about that. So what do you mean drug conspiracy?
Well, I was dealing drugs to like 5 different private schools. I was like in the mix, but no one caught me out. No one caught me with anything. It just a bunch of kids got busted with drugs, pot and alcohol. And I used to make my own moonshine. I was out of my mind. And so they were like, it's this guy, Mike Diamond. So I got called up one day and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because I never had anything to the house. I stashed everything. And they're like, well, you're the guy, you're the ringleader. So I said to my dad, look, if you toss me to this other school, they're gonna mess me up. So, I went to this other school and I had friends there, but they're like, dude, we can't be your friends in this school. This is like, you're thrown to the wolves here. So I really had to learn social and emotional intelligence of how to navigate my way out of not getting hammered every day. And I was getting my ass kicked every day. It was bad. Kids would jump you. It was just a horrible time.
And this is in Perth?
This is in Perth. And Perth's like the Wild Wild West. It's a rough place. It's the Perth when I was a kid. Like, it was rough. Like, I grew up with, like, kids that are doing 30 years now. Like, it was no joke.
You mentioned social and emotional intelligence is what helped you sort of navigate and figure out how to, like, acclimate to the environment. Do you think that social and emotional intelligence was something that you had from early on, or is that something that you had to learn how to do?
I was born with it.
Okay.
I could read people quick. Intuitively, I could read you and know where you were going, and I'd work the other way.
Gotcha.
And I'd look at your body language. I'd look at how your feet move. That was something I just knew.
I think it's very important that piece right there, because I, too, believe I was born with the social and emotional intelligence skill set. I don't think it's something that is taught necessarily. I think you can hone it. I don't think it's something that I think it's something that typically people are born with, the ability to like read others and not change who they are, but acclimate to a situation very quickly, seamlessly, without other people really feeling like you're forcing it. You're just able to just sort of settle in very quick.
The biggest lesson I learned was when I went to acting school around 17, and I read The Greatest Thing from Marlon Brando. And someone asked him if he believed in acting school. And Marlon Brando said this great thing: you never see a tiger going to jungle school.
Right? It's the truth, yeah.
You can learn a craft and you can hone your inclination, but look, I inherited this ability to read people, and I had good intuition. So I could see a corridor down, a kid walking, looking a certain way. I'd take the next corridor at school because I knew he was coming after me. Like I would read people. I knew where to stand after school so certain kids wouldn't see me to get me after school. So I was always 3 steps ahead mentally. But the defining moment was when I was 16. And I'll be honest with you, I was in bad shape mentally and physically. And I really had nowhere to go. Like, I was emotionally broken. And I was like, do I go back and act out in violence? Like somehow, there's no guns in Australia, but my mind was bad. Or do I kill myself? I was rock bottom. Because I had no one to turn to.
At this point, were you already sort of in the depths of drug and alcohol abuse?
Yeah. Deep. And my neighbor had a neighbor, and her name's Judy, and she saw me really struggling emotionally, and she grabbed me, and she just looked at me and hugged me and gave me a wink and a smile. She said, I'm telling you right now, you're way before your time. This will not matter in 20 years from now. You will find yourself. Do not take this serious. She planted one seed, that's it, and left me alone. And I'd confide in her, right, every now and then. This is the great thing about that story. Now we're 30 years later, and I reach out to a friend of mine that I just had a feeling I should reach out to her, and she's struggling with some stuff, alcoholism and emotional stuff. And she's like, hey, do you ever see Judy? And I go, no, I haven't seen Judy in 30 years. I live on the other side of the world. She sent her a message, and Judy found me on Facebook. And she wrote to me a bunch of stuff. I'm so proud of you. And I said, I don't think you realize the impact you had on my life. Do you remember this day? I explained it to her. She goes, I remember the exact moment. And I'm like, can you believe that 30 years later? She planted that once. And that's why I go out of my way to be a good person. Because you never know that one seed of just being nice and loving and giving someone hope can change the course of their life.
So true. So powerful. I just shared something on social the other day because I think culture is something that a lot of us forget about. And culture is something that in business, in my opinion, is probably the most important component to the long-term success of a business. And truly rewarding people with kindness and positive reinforcement is so much more valuable, in my opinion, so much more valuable than a paycheck. Obviously, if you give somebody $1 million, they'll probably appreciate that more than a thank you. However, $1 million is something that is going to come and go, right? Like you are going to spend $1 million. But the moment that you can potentially take with somebody, like Judy took with you, look them in the eye and tell them that they're going to be okay and to keep doing what they're doing and it's going to be all right, and show that appreciation. It's invaluable. It is stuff that is life-changing. And the only reason why I know that is because, as you know, I've worked for a lot of assholes in my life, right? Like working in the nightlife business and the restaurant business, there's a lot of like really bad people out there. I'm not saying all the people that I've worked for were really bad people, but I'm saying I've experienced some bosses that just truly could give a flying fuck about their people. And the times that I do remember my bosses coming up and tapping me on the shoulder and being like, great work, kid, or thanks so much, man, that goes so far. It goes so far, and and a lot of people forget about it. And I believe now, getting back to business for a lot of people, this is an opportunity to change. And that story fucking changed your life, dude. Or it might not have changed your life, but it certainly put a little ray of sunlight in a path that was super duper dark for you at that time, I imagine.
Oh yeah, and I think you just nailed it on the head. You know, that's where people look. We all need some kind of social contact and some kind of love, and someone. And we go back to born. I naturally, as a kid, all right. So go back to preschool. My mum dropped me off at preschool, and I was like, no, I'll walk myself in. I walked myself in, introduced myself. At the end of the day, the preschool teacher said, he's really unique. And my mum couldn't understand. She still doesn't understand my personality to this day. And she's like, oh, no, he's a pain. She's like, no. He went around and introduced himself to every person. And if a kid was crying, he made sure he lifted their spirits. Like, he's naturally got this great gift to be loving. I don't have to think about being nice to people. I just don't. It's in my DNA to go out of my way if I see someone struggling to be like, hey, are you okay? And take my time. I got a text message 3 days ago from a guy in London. I work on Zoom with him. And he's like, I'm done. It's over. I'm going to kill myself. And I'm like, whoa. Call me now. Call me now. We spent an hour and a half on the phone. It wasn't part of what I was doing scheduling, but I'm going to pick up the phone. Ended up having dinner with his wife, talking it out, and he's back on schedule. And he's like, he's a pro tennis player. He's blown up his career. And he's like, you're the only person that I can pick up, and I know they'll pick up and text. Now, I get a lot of people on social media hitting me up when they're at rock bottom. The reason I always pick up is because just one person took the time to look at me in the eye and said, it's going to be okay. Sometimes that's all you need. Someone to just say, it's going to be okay. It doesn't feel like it's going to be okay, but you'll get through it. Just ride out the storm.
I think that's also such a strong message, because I got sober, August will be 16 years. And I clearly remember feeling moments of true agony and despair. Like, how is this ever going to end? Is this ever going to end? And I could honestly say that, yes, I hate when people say, it's hard to change the spots on a leopard's back, because that's just it's an age-old saying. However, I know, and firsthand, personal experience-wise, that people can change, and it's very fucking possible. And I think it's really important for people to hear the message that this too shall pass, and that's what they say in 12-step programs and in the Bible. This too shall pass. But it is accurate as accurate can be, because it will pass, and some people don't give it the time. I have not felt. I mean, I've gone through shit in sobriety. There's no doubt about it, but I have not felt moments of complete and utter like defeat. Like, this is it. There's no way through this. I just haven't. Because I just know in my heart of hearts that there is always a solution, and time will heal.
I think when I first walked into a meeting and people say, being sober will change your life, I don't think until you face adversity and you get through it sober, you really step back and realize the clarity of going to other sober people, if they're good people, good sober people, and good mentors, and saying, wow, I can actually handle this without drinking and doing drugs and show up. And I think for me, after 6 months in, when stuff started to go a little sideways and I was focused and look, I'll give you, I stopped using because Scott Weiland was my business partner, and we owned a bar called Snitch, and we were shooting a TV show for VH1. And I was doing a massive amount of coke. I was doing about an 8-ball a day, and I was drinking about a bowl of vodka a night. And I could see him where he was going in his relationship. His wife and kids were like done. And I just had that one moment where I sat down and went, okay, if I stay on this train, I know I'm going to die, but I'm not going to reach my full potential. And that scared me. I'm like, I'm wasting my life. And I stopped. I just stopped. I walked into a meeting the next day and I would just listen to people. And I got a few people that in my clique that were like 15 years sober. And they're like, do 1 meeting a day. I said, nope, I'm going to do 3 a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I just got obsessive about being of service. And now, ironically, 10 years later, Scott died in the back of his tour bus, and I was detoxing someone the day he died. And I was like, there you go. So as soon as I got sober, I could play the tape. I could watch things and stop and then go, where is this really going? When I was using, I lived on adrenaline. It was now me, scarcity mindset, get out of my way, I don't give a shit, and I destroyed everything. And I didn't give a fuck how much money I made. I didn't give a fuck how much money I lost. I was in so much pain from the trauma of my past, I just wanted to act out. Sexually, whatever, sorry, yeah.
Do you think that your sort of addictive characteristics were something that you were born with, or do you think it was something that came through adversity?
No, I was born an addict.
Yeah.
It's genetic. Both my grandfathers were alcoholic, and it's in my genes too. I'm an alcoholic. I mean, look, Mike, at 2017, on my birthday, wife comes in and says, we're having a baby boy. I'm like, awesome. I go to the gym that day. My stomach's been bad for 3 days with my ulcerative colitis. I look up most pull-ups in an hour, weighted. It's like 300 and something. I'm like, oh, that's, 5 pull-ups a minute. Let me put on a weight vest. My stomach's torn up. And I'm cramping up. I get home. My wife's like, why would you do this on your birthday? We want to go for dinner. That night, I didn't really eat a lot. I was struggling. She's pregnant, so I went and slept on the couch. And when you have ulcerative colitis, when you're flaring, you have diarrhea. So I went to the bathroom. I didn't have diarrhea. I'm like, oh, shit, it's my appendix or my gallbladder. It's not my colitis. She comes down the stairs. I'm like, I don't want to freak you out. You're pregnant. We got to go to the ER. She's like, why? I'm like, I'm in bad shape. We get to the ER. I go, give me a CT scan. They're like, what's your pain? I'm like, 100. Give me a CT scan. I am screaming in pain. They give me a CT scan. You've been in septic shock for 3 days.
Oh my God.
I'm in Glendora, California. No one in my network is going to come. I'm so far gone. A guy drives from Barstow, which is an hour and a half away, to me and says, I need to cut you open right now because you're done. You'll be dead in hours. And he said, I'm going to remove your colon. I said, do me a favor. Don't remove my colon. I don't want to wake up with a bag. But if it's going to save my life, remove it. 3.5 hours of surgery, right? I'm a mess. He's like, that's the worst I've ever seen. He said, you're done. Your colon's done. He goes, you're going to have to take it out. I saved your life, but you're going to take your colon out. I said, how long can you give me to heal myself? He's like, you'll die of cancer. My colon was rotted. Now I have ulcerative colitis and I have sepsis in my colon, so it's done. And he's like, I need about, can you give 6 to 8 weeks? He goes, there's no way you could heal yourself in 6 to 8 weeks. I went fully in, didn't eat any food. I'd lost 50 pounds. I was in the hospital 8 days and I was a mess. I was a broken mess. I couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. I had to rebuild myself. Meditation, just studying guys like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipman, Mind Effects Matter, barely eating because I couldn't process anything. And then the baby ends up coming 7 weeks premature. So I'm dealing with that, and this was the greatest thing. I sat down by myself, and I watched this woman run 100 miles. And I was like, how the hell do you run 100 miles? What kind of psycho can do that? And the switch went off in my brain. I walked downstairs. I said, I'm building a gym in the house. My wife's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to push the baby a half marathon. She's like, well, you don't even run. I said, let me do it. I want to see what it takes to run like that. I just started training, ran the first half marathon. And then it was like that. I enjoyed it. I was like, all right, let me find a cause. And I found that little girl, Layla. And I asked Guinness what was the most half marathons in a month. And they said 21. I said, I'll run the whole month. And then I trained, and this is a crazy thing. I got a hernia in the training. It's great because my stomach was a wreck because I was the first 3 months of training, my stomach blew up. I had bad diarrhea. My autoimmune system was messed up. And got a hernia. The doctor said, you're out of your mind. You can't run with a hernia. You're going to kill yourself. My wife said, can you really do this? I said, yeah. We were 2 days in. I was running with a hernia. And her friend was in Greece having lunch. And the guy was rushed to the ER. They open him up and he's got a strangulated hernia. My wife's like, you're running half marathons every day. This guy eats lunch and nearly dies. I'm like, I can do this. So I pushed through some days with my ulcerative colitis. No jokes aside, I had to wear a diaper so I wouldn't crap my pants. And I did 30 half marathons in 30 days in the heat of August. And I still showed up for work every day. Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
That's an addict.
You're out of your mind.
That's an addict.
Yeah, 100%. When you went to the gym on your birthday and you read about, however many pull-ups in an hour weighted, did you do that?
I did 300 in an hour with a 45 weight vest on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have a switch. It's bad. When the switch goes off in my brain, something clicks. I just go deep. I mean, I wrote the new book in 6 weeks. I don't know. I just get this thing. I call it stepping into the gap. There's a really great there is a really great movie called Ride Like a Girl. And it's this girl who, against all odds, wins the Melbourne Cup as a jockey. Never happened before. And she goes through back surgery. And her trainer always says there's a moment in life, in horse racing and in life, where there's a gap, an opportunity. And most people fear stepping into the unknown of the gap. And if you can step into the gap, you can separate good from great. Great athletes do it all the time. You see great guys like Jordan or Larry Bird, they clutch. They can just go, give me the ball 1 second on the clock, they put it up and it goes in. And I think you do that naturally without thinking. And I just have that ability to, if I feel it, I have faith, whether there's a feast or a famine. I just have faith. I step into the faith of the process.
I know what you mean, people question me constantly, especially my wife. I have this thing where if I'm interested in something, and it doesn't happen with everything in my life, it only happens really in things that I'm deeply interested in. But if I'm interested in something, specifically something challenging, I don't try it or do it. I attack it with every ounce of every cell in my body. So I don't go out for a run, I'm running marathons. I don't train kickboxing, I'm fighting. I don't lift weights, I'm competing in bodybuilding competitions. I don't take a dip in the pond, I'm doing 30 laps in my 175 foot long pond in the morning. It's weird. I don't I just started doing this Wim Hof breathing not long ago, which is amazing. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but have you tried it?
Yeah.
I'm holding my breath for 4.5 minutes.
I do 3 different breathing techniques. It's the best. He's legend.
For me, meditation has been something that I've dipped in and out of over the years. It's obviously something that is a major suggestion in the world of recovery. I've never found a practice in meditation that I have consistently stuck to. And I think it's a combination of things. Obviously, I'm an addict, so I like to feel things pretty quickly. I don't like to do something and then, make it a practice for outside of athletics and sports, make it a practice for years until I actually start feeling the benefits of it. With Wim Hof breathing, which is something that I do every day now, you feel the effect of this. It's like a functional breathing method that you feel the effects of immediately. Every single time I do it, it's challenging, so I try to challenge myself to go a little further every time. And B, you basically go, you step close to death with it because you're holding your breath for as long as you can in between these breathing rounds. And so I have taken to it like white on rice. I mean, I absolutely love it. I love it.
I think that you just nailed it. I believe it like this. I have friends that are yoga teachers, and they're complete psychos. And you're like, well, you teach yoga all day. It's become a sport, not a practice. So if I look at you and say, well, you actually do practice meditation, you'll say, how? I'm like, you lift weights, you swim, you run, you're a great cook. So you're being mindful in all these processes. That's the key. Do you see what I'm saying? If you could sit down for 2 hours but not be present, but you're present in all these areas, that's the form of some kind of mindfulness meditation. Guys like you and I that want the result, Wim Hof works for us because it's like very quick and it's hard and it's challenging. And that's good for us because our type of personality is we're driven guys. We're forward thinking. We want something. And Wim Hof's a legend because the rubber hits the road. You know, he lays in an ice tub for hours. He can do Mount Everest in his underwear. Like, all right, this guy's doing something right. He's beyond Navy SEAL training. This guy's going into a whole different level. So I think that's where I think people get it messed up is like to use a practice, whatever the practice is, you know, a guy that can do all that stuff for guys like you and me, that's impressive because that's what we live by. We live by the code of, you know, we'll do the work, you know, and we want to be, you know, we physically want to see people do great stuff. So I think like his breathing techniques, I do 2 types. So what I do is I do a Kundalini style where you go up one side, holding one side of the nostril in a box breathing, and then you go down the other side.
Can you walk us through that real quick?
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want to put your thumb on your nostril. You're going to go in for 4. You're going to hold for 4, right? And you're going to go out for 4. You get back? Mm-hmm. Then you're going to go the other side. So you're going to open up the left and right hemisphere of the brain. And you're going to do it in box breathing. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Then I like to do a short diaphragmatic pump, and it's 3 rounds, and you're only going in the nose, and you're going to pump the diaphragm, and it goes like this. Then you'll do 30, and then you'll hold, and you'll breathe out.
How long do you hold for?
As long as you want, just natural. Mm-hmm. Then you'll do another round. Then, after those 2, then I like to go into the Wim Hof style. So I do those 2 first to clear out the, you know, left and right hemisphere, do the small pumping the diaphragm, and then I go to WOF. The only thing I add with Wim, and I saw him do it with Rich Roll, is Wim does a lot through the mouth. I like to do nose, and Laird Hamilton talks about coming in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. It's really good for the nitric oxide and stuff. So I like to go and do chest, but also do massive diaphragm, and then so if I really oxygenate my body, and then I do the holds like Wim. Then what I do is then I do a 10-minute mindful manifestation of what I want to attract. So I visualize in very Joe Dispenza style, what I want to track that day and why. And then I just focus on those things for 10 minutes. Then when I wake up, usually I'm really clear. My reticular activating system, which is the part of the brain that's the net that brings in what we focus on. That's why if we focus on the negative, law of attraction, we only see negative. That's why if you want to buy a red car, they always talk about it. You see red cars everywhere. You don't notice anything else. You know what I'm saying? So then if I start my day by breathing like that, no matter how I feel, I always feel good. Then I go straight into metabolic training, lifting weights. Do you know what I mean? I do a stretch and then I lift. I lift, 30 to 45 minutes. And then after that, it's cardio. And I do not break that routine every day. No matter how I feel, I get on with that. And then I could start the day really off center. But if I do that breath work early, I'm golden.
Now, Mike, you also wake up at 4:30 in the morning every day, right?
Yeah.
So when did you start waking up early?
3 years ago. I started off it was 3:30. I started 3:30. And it was mainly because when the baby came premature, I wanted to help the wife out and take the baby in the mornings. And I realized if I can get up at 3:30, get my reading in, get my meditation in, get my workouts in, I have the quiet part of the day. Then when I was writing the book in 6 weeks, I had to write the book in 6 weeks to get it to this editor who had time off in the pandemic, the new book. I had to write 65,000 words in 6 weeks. I had to get up at 3:30 and start writing. I'd get up at 3:30, meditation, write. Write first, go and train, do my stuff, do my coaching, go back and write in the afternoon. So for me, the golden hour is between 4 and 4:30. If I can get up, I always 4:30, 5 o'clock's late now, 4:30, 4:15. If I get in that, I just feel so clear.
What time do you go to bed?
10, 6 hours. That's all I need.
So you get 6 hours of sleep and you feel great.
I feel great. I take L-theanine before bed. I'm a supplement guy. I've actually got a supplement coming out, which I'll share with you. I'll give you the sample, obviously. I use tyrosine that helps build the dopamine receptors in the brain, especially if you're fasting, because I do a 16-8 fast. I'm always fasted. I do all my training fasted.
I want to understand how you got from New York back, from Australia to New York, and what that process was like.
All right, so I went to acting school in Sydney. So I went from Perth to Sydney, went to acting school. And then I got frustrated at acting school. I just didn't have good mentors. So I left acting school and decided to take a massive risk. And I took a job, walked in off the street to this clothing store. And I literally said to the guy, I want to work here for free for a week. I want to sell clothes. He's like, and I used to pass this store. It was a really expensive store. And he's like, don't you want to go to acting school? I said, well, yeah, I want to save my money and go to acting school. And he laughed. He goes, you got some balls. You're going to come into this clothes store, ask for a job, and then you want to leave. I'm like, well, why lie? I don't want to sell clothes the rest of my life. So he threw the Pepsi challenge at me and he said, hey, you know what? Next person that walks in, if you can sell them clothes, I'll give you a job. I said, okay, step into the moment. So a lady walked in. I kind of sussed her out. And there was an outfit in the window that I was eyeing out. And I just kind of threw a bait. And I said, you looking for something for your husband, your wife, your husband or your son? And she said, my son. I said, perfect. I was like, you know what? I'm going to improvise. Is he about my size? And she said, he is. I said, give me 1 sec. And the guys are looking at me. And I'm like, what's he doing? And I looked at the window and I looked at an outfit. And I'm like, all right, put it together. I looked at the sizes and I was just playing around with her. And I went into the change room and I put the outfit on. And I walked out and she goes, I'll take it. And the manager looked at me and went, okay, you got a job. That was cool. He's like, all right, you got balls. I like you. So I worked there. This is crazy. So I was working. He's a really nice guy named Dean. 0 goals. Just, I was going to America. I'm going to America. And one day this lady came in the store and I sold her a bunch of clothes. And she just said to me, you know, have you ever thought, I told her I was going to America. And she's like, oh, you should enter the green card lottery. I said, what are you talking about? She's like, they give out green cards in a lottery. It's 1 in a million. Like, yeah, whatever. So the next morning, we were fixing up the window of the shop, and it's an open-air mall, and I see her carrying bags from the shop. And I was like, she's going to return clothes. So I kind of hid in the back. And she walked in, we weren't open yet, and she's banging on the window. And my guy that I was working with, he's like, what do you need? And she's like, oh, I wanted to see if Mike was here. And he's like, yeah, what do you need? And she's like, I bought him the green card lottery ticket. Mm-hmm. So I popped my head out. I was like, hey. And I was honest. I was hiding in the back. I thought you were going to return the clothes. And she laughed. She said, look, I got a really good feeling about you. I'm going to give you this ticket. I'm like, okay. I sent the green card lottery ticket in. And 6 months later, I won a green card in a fucking lottery.
Oh, my gosh.
You believe that shit? I moved to America. I literally moved with nothing. I landed in Miami first because I had a friend in Miami. This was 1997, so there was no real, you couldn't go on a Facebook and find a group of friends and join chats. I just landed. Got screwed over by him. I got a little, I rented a room in this lady's house. I had a few bucks on me in my one suitcase, and I got a job in a jewelry store. Just got a job, and I was doing a music project and going to acting auditions, and because I didn't want to move to New York just yet because it was too cold. I didn't understand. I just wanted to hang out in Miami and see what it was like. And these guys walked in from his club and they said, hey, you're a cool dude. Do you want a job in a club? I said, I don't want to work in a nightclub. It's the dumbest thing ever. And they're like, it's $150 a night. I'm like, I'll work in a nightclub. They gave me a job opening a Velvet Rope. That was it. And it was a club called Bash. Now, Chaos from Watt Street, David, Michael, and Tony, came down to Miami. And this guy goes, you need to meet these guys. They're going to love you. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, trust me. So I meet David, Michael, and Tony from Chaos Watt Street. And they're like, we're opening this mega club in South Beach. And I was like, oh, yeah, what do you want me to do? They're like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't want to do anything in a club. But this guy introduced me. And he's like, well, how about this? You want to work the VIP door? I said, yeah, whatever. I said, look, I really don't want to take this serious. I'm a musician. I'm an actor. I don't want to, I'll show up. They're like, it's $250 a night. I'm like, I will show up. So the night of the club opening, the door guy doesn't really show up. And they grab me and they say, hey, we've got a job for you. I said, what? They're like, have you got the balls to do it? I said, I'll do anything. What do you want me to do? They're like, do you want to run the front door of the club? I'm like, yeah, why not? And that was it. I literally stepped into it. And they changed my life. I got acting jobs in Miami. I moved to New York a year later. They got me running Chaos in New York. I was running Bungalow 8 as well. Then September 11th hit. Then Michael Ott made me a partner at Pangea. So it was just like all from that one introduction.
Wow.
They changed my life.
Wow. I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Off a green card lottery ticket.
That's crazy, man. And the craziest part about it is that, like, when I had met you, you know, we lived in the same building, which is even weirder.
Yeah.
Which is even weirder. And I still don't know if I got that apartment through Olivia or if it was a friend's apartment and Olivia's father owned that place. Olivia's a woman that we worked with, that both Mike and I worked with years ago. But I remember you had two big dogs.
Yeah, pit bull and a bull terrier.
Yeah, two big dogs. And we both had these pretty amazing lofts in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, before Williamsburg was Williamsburg. So you're in the nightclub thing, and you've owned a bunch of nightclubs, and what happens? You see your partner Scott, and you say that I don't want to go down that road. You stop using that very day.
Just everything changed. I just had a shift in that moment. Look, I'll be honest with you, Mike. I know the right thing to do, and I have made disempowering choices because I could get away with it. And I know intuitively when it's time to step. So when I was just not feeling good anymore, I wasn't waking up healthy. I was grinding. I was like, you know what? Spiritually, I know better than this. I'm just going to stop. And the one thing I want to tell people, which is the most important thing that I learned, is coming from a small town. Not many people have lived the life I've lived coming from a tiny little town like Perth. Even my friends to this day, when I was telling them as a kid, I'm going to go to America, I'm going to do all these things, kicked out of school. Don't put people on a pedestal. Do the work. Respect people and respect their journey, but don't think they're any better than you. No one's better than you. If you're willing to pay the price and do the work, and I always say successful people do the work no matter how they feel. Unsuccessful people only want to do the work when they feel good and feel right. You're never going to feel good. You're never going to feel right. Step into the moment and pay the price. And I learned that by being around all these celebrities and these people, and that's how I got into interventions. It was just literally, I'm going to be an interventionist. I'm going to get people sober. And literally the job was, okay, go get this guy. Go and pick this guy up and get him sober. Travel with him. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and then just study and work. Look, the beautiful thing about life is this, right? We are recession proof because I can do this till I'm 70 or 80. So I love every morning I get up with purpose because I focus on three things: inspire, educate, and motivate. How can I do that to people? And then how can I live, love, and matter? So if I stay on that, I get out of myself, I'm a good person, and life's easy.
Inspire, educate, motivate, live, love, and matter. Those are some amazing core tenets, man.
And I live by that. You know what I mean? If I'm being authentic and if I feel like I'm off course, I shut up and stay in my own lane.
Why do you think some people can just get sober and the vast majority of people that are struggling out there simply can't?
It's surrender. We have to be humble and surrender. And we have to surrender. We just have to say, I need help. People are afraid to ask for help.
Mm-hmm. What kind of advice can you throw out there for the person that's struggling, listening? what can you say that could potentially flip the switch, like you've said a number of times in this podcast?
This is the two things I focus on when I do an intervention. I don't worry about what I'm taking away from someone. I ask them two questions. Are you happy? And if you're not, let's do something to get you happy that's more empowering. And how's your anxiety? And if you're anxious and you're unhappy, okay, let's look at why you're getting a bad dose. And when I say dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. They're the 4 happy chemicals of our brain, and we're always looking for a dose. So you and I did a lot of cocaine, which gave me a massive dose of dopamine. Now what do? I do breath work. I go to meetings. I help other people. I eat good. I'm a loving person. I talk to you. That's a great dose. We're getting a fix of oxytocin now from community, right? We're getting a boost in our serotonin from status because we lift each other up. So if I say to someone, if you're struggling and you feel like you're making disempowering choices, just stop and reach out. Go to a meeting and listen. Go to someone that's living proof it works. Not someone talking it. Go to someone and you look at their life and go, that's the life I want. I want to live like that guy. And then start going, well, what is he doing that I'm not doing? Do you know what I mean? Think about this. If we look at Wim Hof, or we love Wim Hof, what do? We do his breath work. Mm-hmm. Right? If I look at a guy like you and you're doing something for your body, I'm like, well, what's he doing? All right? If he's doing it, then there's got to be a blueprint out there.
Sometimes I say, why me? Like, why did I get sober so young and put together this life? And, you know, obviously you said it, like we put in the work, but I think there is something that, and I think it comes back to the born or made question, the nature nurture question. I think there is something that distinguishes people like you and I who have been able to come through these things, not with ease, because it was certainly not easy, but have been able to come through these things. And I've got friends, lots of friends, A, who have died, B, who are just in fucking purgatory, man. That just, my best friend, who I love more than anything on the planet, who was sober a long time, he can't get it. He can't come back. He won't come back. And I can't figure, and I know your job is to help people. Your job is to help people see the forest through the trees, right? Like you were put here to help people see that there is a solution, and you're like the person that's holding their hand while they're finding it, because they've got to find it themselves, but you're holding their hand. You know, you're the fallback guy that's literally standing behind them saying, okay, it's okay to fall. I'm going to catch you. It's okay to fall. There are just some people that, you know, and I've banged my head against the wall because I know I can't strike anybody sober. I also can't strike anybody to want to like be better at their job, or strike anybody to be a kinder person. They have to want to find it and do it themselves. And I do believe that there is something in DNA, genetics, that does separate the people that simply won't put in the work to the people that do.
Yeah, I mean, you are right there. But I do feel that if someone deep down hurt, well, it's like two things, right? We all want to, every human being, avoid pain, gain pleasure. I do say this, if you suffered adversity as a kid, you have an advantage over someone that's been over-nurtured and over-mothered.
Yeah, I guess that's a great lesson for parents out there, right? Like, do not spoil your fucking children. You know, treat them like human beings, not like toys or pets.
Kids in this day and age want a trophy for everything, right? People grow up and they run out of a burning building and they want a trophy. Well, you and I are the opposite. We're the firefighters. We go into the burning building. That separates extraordinary from ordinary. Extraordinary people do a little extra to the ordinary. Do you know what I mean? We're willing to pay the price. Now, we have a society right now that you smile a certain way and you've got to be mothered or you've got to be nourished. I said to my wife the other day, you know, with my son, I was like, look, if there's a running race, I was a state champion. I said, and there's 8 kids running and he comes 8th, he doesn't get a trophy for 8th. If he wants to keep running and he wants to win, he's got to figure out how to get first. No, I don't care. I love him either way. But don't expect me. I'll be like, great one, you did your best. But if he's like, I need a trophy for 8th. No, not in my house, man. You want to take top 3, you get a trophy. In the Olympics, if you make the Olympics, you and I make the Olympics, and we finished 8th, no one cared. You were the best in the world, you placed 8th. If you top 3 in the Olympics, you get a medal. right? That's the Olympics. So everyone wants this badge of honor for showing up. But you did 9 to 5. Okay, you showed up to your job. Well, you didn't, you know what I'm saying? If you want more, you've got to put in more. It's like if you and I go outside and plant some seeds and we do no fertilizing and we don't do any, we can't flourish unless you do the work. But people are so sensitive now. Oh, I need this or I need that. You know what? Time, money, resources, right? What do you do with 24 hours of the day? How do you spend your time, right? Don't worry about money. Bring value to other people, you'll make money. Don't worry about resources, be resourceful. Happiness to me is very simple. You have to, in all areas of life, be content. Spiritual, physical, family life. You have to have a calling and a purpose. Do you know what I mean? And then you have to have fun and have hobbies. It's not about money. It's not about sex. It's not about materialistic. It's about spiritually being authentic with yourself. And you're calm in the storm. You learn to bend, not break. You become a palm tree, okay? You become flexible in your mindset. Success for me is doing what you love. So every day when you get up, you have purpose and it's not a job. I don't have a job. I have a calling. I know what inspire, educate, and motivate, live, love, and matter. Doesn't matter what I do. I can be with you. I can pick up a text at 4 a.m. I always go out of my way to be an engine and drive people. I'm not an anchor. I'm not going to drown people and pull them down. I'm going to put air in their tires and I'm going to put wind in their sails.
Boom. I love happiness as a palm tree, man. That is so good.
Right? Bend, right?
So good. You wrote a book, Mike. Can you tell us what that book is and where people can find it?
It's called 7 Steps to an Unbreakable Mindset. You can get it on Amazon right now. And my second book will be coming out in the fall. It's called A Dose of Positivity. It's helping people find purpose and persevere through the hurricanes of life.
I love your book, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man.
We hadn't seen each other in a few years, and it was the first thing you gave me. It's a fantastic read, and it's a good fast read. It's not, it's not super
Quick.
heavy. It's just like, boom. Mikey Diamond, do you believe you were born or made?
I was born.
I figured that. Yeah.
I was born. I was born with this purpose, and I just had to then stay the course and do the repetitions, but I was born this way.
Where can people find you? Online or?
The Mike_Diamond on Instagram and on Twitter. And then it's my fan page is The Official Mike Diamond on Facebook.
I am very grateful for your time. I really appreciate you as a human being and as a mentor and as just an inspirational, motivational guy. You really are a special person. Thank you very much for taking the time with me today, man.
Dude, I love you, man. You know that. And we'll be working on a bunch of stuff together always.